Welcome or welcome back to Pewdiepie. I'm Zui and I hope you enjoyed today's video. But before we get right into it, I'm obligated to remind you to click either the like or dislike button, commenting something down below, and of course sharing the video so more people can see and enjoy it. This is very important as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. I want you to know that your help is greatly appreciated. If you have any suggestions or ideas for a story, my Discord link is in my link tree that is down in the description, as well as my Patreon and Ko-fi for any donations you may want to send my way. Every cent counts. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video. The circle was completed. The runes etched into the solid rock ground. Red wax poured into the crevices. A demonic incantation recited by the man in the black robe with the pointy hat. The golden amulets of the people surrounding the site glowed in an ominous green. Their bodies began to dance around a singular black candle in the center of the group, as a large robed man emerged from the surrounding woodland. In his hand a bloody sack, patiently waiting for the dance to be over. The followers moved their arms and hips like flowing water as the incantation was completed. The members of the cult allowed the giant passage. He made sure not to step on the wax, opening his sack to reveal the stench of rotten meat. Chunks of pigskin were laid on the naked rock. Repeating the same incantation his leader had spoken word for word. This time, however, the other cultists averted their gaze, as if this act was a sin of utmost perversion. Crouching down, looking away from the ritual. And then silence. You didn't know how or when you joined the cult of your quiet suburban township. Hell, you didn't even know how many members there truly were. All you knew was that it was kinda fun. It wasn't being part of something bigger, no. None of that esoteric bullshit. More the fact that you were doing something other than sit in front of a computer all the time. You always had a problem with hobbies, abandoning them most of the time after a week. However, the fact that, as a fully fledged cultist, your body was completely covered by hoods and robes gave you this completely new feeling of being someone you weren't. A blank slate. Truly magical. Here you were Sister Rose. Of course your real name wasn't Rose, but who cares? This was anonymous, mostly. The person you created in your head, the titular Rose, was reliable, like nature, and was quite patient, something you definitely weren't in real life. If the cult wasn't actually performing magic, you'd think everyone was just playing pretend. For just a few hours per day. You could be a better you, or at least a different self. Maybe that's how indoctrination worked. Thing was, despite the fun you had playing pretend, you came home exhausted, but happy. Being Rose, or more, the image of Rose the others had created in their heads, was tiring after all. Tonight it would be New Year, and your cult leader had something planned. He kept it a secret from everyone. Personally, you were hoping it was something nice. After all, this cult always had an even number of members. Why? Well, not because of some realistic need to have even members,
No, it's because of Secret Santa. This way no cultist would go without a present. So there was a 50-50 chance this ritual would be something fun and creative and cute, or something incredibly horrible and violent.
Sister,
shouted your leader, looking at you. Yes, master?
please check your phone for any night sky anomalies for tonight.
You blinked.
Now.
You didn't know what he meant specifically, yet you still pulled up the news on your phone. This'll take a moment. I have terrible connection here. You stuttered.
That is understandable, child.
God, why was he still shouting? A large group of the cult was inside of the forest near your town, far away from any building or partying person. This probably was to avoid any distractions in the form of fireworks. Quickly you scrolled through reports, news, etc. The only thing I can find is a smog alert in America's major cities for tonight.
Good, child. Good.
The cult master spread his arms.
My children, please follow me. We shall soon see if the ritual was a success.
The last time you participated in a ritual, you summoned a demon clown. The creature had been quite pathetic. So if your master was making such a deal out of this, something amazing must have happened soon. You and the other followers were guided into a clearing in the middle of... It was a large stone furnace. Next to it were cooling boxes and bags of charcoal.
Brother Bobby, if you please.
The giant cultist who had carried the meat earlier now stomped past you. He opened the furnace door and shoved the coals into it, as your master directed more followers to spread around the clearing. Scattered all around the ground were fresh packs of meat, still cold. Bowls with baked potatoes, ice buckets with beverages. And someone suddenly shouted, Wait, are we having a barbecue, master? Silence followed.
I mean, yes?
Said your master, confused, completely taken aback by the question.
Why else would I lead you here?
To set us on fire in the name of darkness? Someone giggled. Or throw a virgin into the burning pits of hell! Your master sighed.
What would you rather do, my dear children? Have a barbecue or set yourself on fire? Or sacrifice a virgin? Exactly,
he shouted, disappointed. Trying to break the awkward silence that followed, you just quickly shouted at Brother Bob. I like my meat rare, like very rare, just, simmered a little. The giant chuckled.
I like you, Sister Rose,
he growled creepily, before attempting to light the flames. Your master gently petted your head.
Thank you, my child.
Before joining the upper-ranked cultists, who were standing a little off, having a chat. You, meanwhile, joined Brother Bob at the grill.
So extra raw, huh?
He asked. Yes. I was also wondering if you needed help with the fire? He had been uselessly trying to light a dry stick with a few matches.
I'm sure I can do this myself, sister.
Instead of listening, you crouched down and pulled out your lighter. It was an expensive jet torch lighter. With a simple click, the blue burning triangle set the dry leaves Bob had already thrown on the coals on fire with a loud whoosh. Excited, by the orange flame, you bit your lower lip, taking a step back from the warm fire.
"Handy,"
he said. "Yeah," you stuttered, seemingly unable to tear your eyes from the flames. Bob took notice.
"You thought a bit of a fire starter, aren't you?"
You fidgeted. No, not really." That was a lie. While you didn't dare to call it a full-on pyromania, fires were just really fun to make and watch. But you could easily suppress the urge to set things on fire. You watched as Brother Bob closed the metal door of the fire pit before moving on to the upper half of the stone grill. He slid 4 metal trays onto the oven, and minutes later the smell of beef filled the entire clearing. And as you were standing in line, with a paper plate in hand, you overheard your master, who was right in front of you, speaking to Brother Bob.
"This is beef, right, Brother Bobby?"
"Of course, Master. I only eat long pig on Halloween, as promised,"
retorted Bob while throwing seasoning on the meat. You gulped. You definitely weren't meant to hear that.
"Of course, Master. I only eat long pig on Halloween,"
retorted Bob while throwing seasoning on the meat. You gulped. You definitely weren't meant to hear that. Brother Bob gave you his pinkest steak before you moved on to the border of the clearing. Leaning against a tree, you'd been eating your flesh. The seasoning was the perfect mix of salty and spicy. The meat savory and delicious. As time passed with the cold, you heard your phone go off. It was going to be New Year very soon. And, as if on cue, your code leader climbed on a nearby stump, calling out to his flock.
"My children, it is soon time to see the fruits of our ritual. I plead to thee to scatter through the forest and find the perfect spot to observe the sky."
He pulled back his right arm sleeve to look at his watch.
About 3 minutes, yes. 3 minutes, everyone."
As ordered, the court scattered, and you were quickly left alone in the clearing. Not having seen this coming, you turned around to rush into the darkness of the thicket. However, you immediately bumped face first into something warm and soft that smelled like burned wood. You pulled your head away and looked up. It was Brother Bob. His hood pulled back, revealing his pale face, a wide grin decorating it.
"Sister Rose,"
he hushed.
"this is your first celebration, isn't it?"
he asked, drool slowly flowing out of his mouth as he spoke. You were sure you weren't going to survive this night, especially after hearing the long pick thing. And without waiting for your okay, Bob just grabbed your wrist, dragging you through the forest. He chose a strange path, which was right through the thicket. Your ropes got tangled more than once, yet he just bulldozed through the countryside. Bob really was an unstoppable force of evil. And the ground suddenly became heavy? You didn't see it in the darkness, but you soon realized that you were ascending a tiny hill. "Bob?" you asked cautiously. And you stopped atop it. Above you, the sky. Bob let go of you, and for a moment the two of you just stood there, before he threw himself on the ground with a loud thud. "What is this about?" you asked cautiously. His eyes stared blankly at you, his grin ever present.
"You lie down next to me, Sister Rose."
With a gulp, you followed his order. Next to the giant, using his outstretched right arm as a makeshift pillow. He was warm, in stark contrast to the cold air. The weather itself wasn't too freezing. It's the wind that hurt. You were glad you were wearing those red robes. You stared up at the sky, like Bob. What are we waiting for?
Out here the sky is clear. Fun fact, there's this phenomenon called light pollution. In cities and villages, the surrounding brightness is stronger than the skies, making it difficult to see what we are here to see now.
Oh, the night sky truly was beautiful. And then, just when your phone alarm went off, indicating 12 a.m., a shooting star shot across the sky. Your eyes filled with tears. Wow, what luck! And then a second one. And a third. Wait, what?
And looks like the ritual worked.
The entire shower of stars began zooming across the sky. If each one would grant one wish of the person seeing it, this would have been a reality-breaking event.
Cult does this every year,
said Bob with a more human smile.
I'm usually not one for pretty nature, but there's just something no one but the cult sees. Well, maybe a few hikers, who for some reason decided to walk through this forest at night during New Year's Eve.
How long does this last? Bob shrugged.
Depends on how powerful the demon is, who is allowing us to see this. Last year it was 10 minutes.
Quietly you watched with Bob, unwillingly cuddling up with the giant man as time passed. And without even realizing it, you had begun snuggling into his massive chest. Suddenly, you were on top of him, while his thick fingers began massaging your back. You gasped as they went lower and lower. Are we really doing this? You asked. He didn't answer. Just pulled you back by your hood before sliding his hands underneath your robes. And he was honestly impressed.
Sister Rose, going commando is quite disrespectful.
You blushed hard. Thankfully, your hood was still covering your face. I mean, no one noticed so far. He smirked.
What if one of our summoning subjects does?
You bit your lower lip, choosing not to respond.
Doesn't matter, I guess,
chuckled Bob as he lewdly began to fondle you.
This just gives me faster access.